Hi, this is Bobby Shokes Jr. again. Welcome back and thanks for watching this, our second installment of a three-part video series that's on this website. Without further ado, let me just jump right into it. I like to call this second video the nuts and bolts of the business. This is the part that has to make sense. It has to make sense to you, or even the finest rental property or the most efficient management thereof isn't going to amount to much. So let me detail for you how we typically do things here at Keystone Property Service. First, let's be frank. In order to acquire real estate, you will need cash or financing. You're not going to be able to get away from those things. I recommend bank financing, and that requires pretty good credit. So that said, here's how it works. A typical 3-bedroom, 1-bath rental property in Harrisburg will sell to you for $50,000. Our lender pool will typically offer you a commercial 15-year loan for 75% of that $50,000 sales price, and this leaves 25% left to deal with. You will be required to put down 10% or $5,000, and the remaining 15% Keystone Property Service will hold as a second mortgage, and this second mortgage is typically provided to you as a 1% interest only with a balloon payment at the end of the first mortgage, which is 15 years down the road or whenever you decide to pay it off. Now, because you didn't have any maintenance or management issues for the first year, remember that much is on us, and only management issues for the second year, then the resulting cash flow allows your original $5,000 investment to be paid back to you in just about 18 months. After that, it's all free money. If you then take that same $5,000 and do the same thing again, then you'll have the same result 18 months later with a second property. Only this time, the first property is still cash flowing, while the second property is paying your original $5,000 back to you. The end result is that in just 3 years, you have now turned $5,000 into 2 separate cash flowing properties, and you still have your original $5,000 in your hands with interest earned from the first property while the second property was breaking even. Pretty neat trick, huh? No, it's not a trick. It's simple math, and it works every time it's properly executed. Now, the fact is that because we're dealing with relatively small sales prices, at least by banking standards, we typically bundle all sales into packages of 3 to 5 properties. So on a typical 4-property acquisition, your cost would be limited to $5,000 per property or $20,000 total. But remember, you'll have the same $20,000 cash back in your hands in about 18 months, where you will be able to do it all over again. Now, here's the beautiful part of this, and this is the ultimate goal I preach to everyone I come in contact with. If you have $50,000 to invest, then in 3 years' time, you can have a portfolio of 20 properties, do the math, 20 properties, while maintaining your same $50,000 back in your hands with interest. And I mean a greater level of interest than the stock market has been paying over the past several years. And if you then turn all the monthly cash flow back into the property, that is toward the mortgage, then in 7 to 8 more years, you will have all 20 properties paid for and now be cash flowing to the tune of 6 figures retirement income for the rest of your life. For the rest of your life. Or at least as long as those properties are maintained and managed. That's quite a while. This is a 30-year proposition, remember. And this is what I and my family are doing. This is what I am encouraging you to do. Now, is retirement the only reason to invest? No, of course not. Cash flow is. These properties represent individual profit centers or cash machines that you can use for any purpose. Imagine a $20,000 investment will bring you 8 properties in 3 years, and 7 years later, you've paid for college, weddings, vacations, and even the needs of grandchildren who may not even be born yet. And you've still got the same $20,000 back in your hands with interest. With interest. Need I say more? Now, earlier I mentioned that this works every time it's properly executed. Now, what did I mean by that? It's simple. You have to buy right, fix it right, finance, and manage it right. Buy right does not necessarily mean just price. The structural integrity of the building is key. This is what provides the foundation for the long-term viability of your rental property. Remember, this is a 30-year window. The ability of the person who originally purchased the property, such as myself, to recognize what needs to be done, how it can be done, and having the skill set to actually do it is key. And this, quite frankly, is where the vast majority of people who get into this business fail. If you don't buy right, you won't be able to fix it right. And at least not without going well beyond any kind of profitable budget. And when that happens, and it does, it takes a special, and I've come to find, rare person with the skill set to be able to make the conscious decision to fix it right anyway, to risk losing money, to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do, to recognize that this is a business with a 30-year window. Remember, Keystone Property Service is providing the first year of warranty free. That's a full warranty including mechanicals. And that's when the majority of issues, if any, will present themselves. In addition to that, we are wanting you to maintain a property management relationship with us well into the future. We also have a 5-year roof certification on this property and a 15% second mortgage with an interest rate of a whopping 1%, which will later be used to guard against any kind of maintenance cost overruns in the long term. It's in our best interest to do it right the first time. It's in our best interest to make sure that your property is properly managed. If we have any hope of collecting on that second mortgage 10 years down the road, you better believe we're going to pay attention to these things. Remember, I said on the first video, our service is offered in such a manner that everyone involved is properly incentivized, not just long enough to get past the closing table, but for the next 30 years. And this is what I was talking about. If you don't succeed, we don't succeed. At Keystone Property Service, the only good deal is one where everyone involved comes out smelling like a rose. And in this business, that means 30 years down the road. And there it is. That's the nuts and bolts of it. And that's far more specific than anything I've ever seen just put out there for anyone to see. Now at this point, I'd like to invite you to visit and view the last installment of this 3-part video series. And in that part, I will discuss what it is that we do that's different from everyone else and what that means to you. Because remember, it all comes down to people. Thank you for watching, and I hope you'll consider investing with Keystone Property Service. And next time, let's do this in person.